Welcome to the GreenLight Investor for the week ending February 13th, 2015. Our goal at the GreenLight Investor is to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. I'll go through an overview of the worksheet we put out each week, then I'll highlight a few of its key features that I believe will provide a sound method for allocating assets between your various 401k investment fund choices. Let's go right up to our worksheet. The worksheet's divided into three sections. On the left, you'll see the investment fund choices, and they start out with the fund number, the symbol of the fund name, and then finally the description of the fund. To the right, we'll see the performance numbers, and each week we update these showing the closing price, the month to date, the quarter to date, and the year-to-date returns. And finally, we'll go to what I think is the most important section of this worksheet, and that's the current weekly trends. Down column V, you'll see the red, green, and yellow lights, which will highlight the week-over-week changes. The red will show the weakest funds for the week, and the green will show the strongest funds for the week. And as we have been reviewing, when you see a green light to the left of this column and a green light to the right of this column, those are the funds we're looking to stay invested in. With that said, let's go see how we can review our fund choices each week by going right to the View, Custom Views, and let's go to Just My Allocation. If you're new to the GreenLight Investor, you'll see that we have a great starting point, which is the Allocation Guidelines button. If you click there and answer the questions, you'll wind up having a baseline allocation that you can start from. We've already done this, so we have a setup down column H, and it shows the percentage that we're looking to target as well as the percentage that we're invested in. Right now, you'll see that we have a 10% target into index funds, and the yellow shows that we're currently 10% invested, and this is the fund that we've allocated to. The money market, we have a 10% allocation based again on the allocation guidelines. We currently have 10% invested in that, and here's the fund that we're invested in. As we go down, we see that in fixed income, we have a 5% allocation. We currently have 5% in the funds, as noted by the yellow. And as we scroll down, we'll see that here's the fund that we're invested in. U.S. growth and income, again, our allocation guidelines suggest that we could have 5% allocations into this fund, which you'll see we already do. We have the 5%, and here's the actual fund that we're invested in. And as we continue to scroll down, we'll see that our guidelines tell us 30% would be a reasonable amount to allocate to the U.S. equity funds, and we have 30% in those funds. Here are the two funds divided with 10% into the Vanguard Dividend Growth and 20% into the Vanguard Growth Index Fund. We'll see that we have an allocation that says 30% would be all right to international. Again, we see we do have 30%, 10% in the T. Rowe Price Emerging Markets, and 20% into the Vanguard Global Equity Fund. And finally, we have a 10% allocation to the sector funds. Shows that in the yellow, we actually do have the 10% fully allocated, and here's the fund that we're in. The next step towards reviewing your funds each week is to simply, let's slide the bar up to the top. Then what we'll want to do is take this bottom slider on this worksheet and slide to where we can see one column to the left and one column to the right of column V. Again, what we're looking to do is stay with a green light to the left and a green light to the right. If we see that, there's really no action to be taken. If we see a red light where we have an allocation, then we might consider changing to another one of the funds that has a green light. So once we have the spreadsheet set up like this, we'll simply slide down and look at each of our allocations and see that we're okay. Here's our 5% allocation into the fixed income. We're seeing that our fund still has a green light on the left and a green light on the right, so there's nothing to do this week. In our growth and income fund, we see that we have the 5% allocation, and again, we look at it. There's a 5%, or there's a green light to the left and a green light to the right. And as we move down, we see that there's a 10% allocation. Again, 2 green lights, so we're fine with that. And the 20% allocation to the U.S. equity funds, we have a green light to the left and a green light to the right. So again, nothing to do with these funds. We'll scroll down to our international funds and we see that we have a yellow light and a green light here. That said, we're going to decide to still do nothing on that. If we see another green light pop up, we may reallocate, or if we see a red light pop up here in one of the future weeks, we'll most likely move that back to the money market and wait for the next green light to appear. Here we have a 20% allocation and we're looking just fine with a green light to the left and a green light to the right. And finally, let's go down and see how our allocation in the sector funds is doing. We're seeing that we have a 10% allocation and a green light to the left and a green light to the right. That's all you have to do each week to see how your funds are doing and see if there's any decisions you need to make or reallocations to make between any of your funds. I hope you have a great long weekend. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful and has given you some ideas and resources to help you manage your 401k choices. Remember, the markets will be closed on Monday for President's Day, so I hope you have a great weekend. To find out more how the GreenLight Investor can help make sense of managing your 401k asset allocations, simply let me know the best time and method to contact you. Thank you again for watching this video, and please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Enjoy your weekend.